Hello everyone and welcome to this video about the answers for last week's paraphrasing challenge. That was paraphrasing 10. So your challenge was to write a paraphrase for the following questions. Many researchers believe that we can now study the behavior of children to see if they will grow up to be criminals, while others disagree. Now, looking at this question, the second I set this, I thought this is probably going to cause some people some trouble. Certainly, the language of crime is something that I know a lot of students struggle with and make a lot of inaccurate vocabulary choices with. Also talking about behavior, researchers should be interesting as well. So I've gone through, highlighted a few paraphrases and areas that we need to focus on. So first off, thank you everyone who contributed. Let's have a look at your work. Our very first one was really good. A lot of researchers, great, we just kept with researchers. A lot of means the same as many. Think that now we can determine whether children will become criminals or not. I think this is a smart choice, just keeping the original word criminal. When they reach adulthood, okay, when they grow up, reach adulthood, excellent synonyms by studying their behaviors. We actually normally talk about behavior in an uncountable sense. And I'm going to use the English spelling here. So by studying their behavior, however others disagree, this is fine. If you ever have to come across a paraphrase and you need to paraphrase what others disagree, you can maybe say what others do not agree would be an easy way to paraphrase disagree. However, overall, this was a really good paraphrase and a great way to start off the session. So well done to this writer. This one says, it is argued by large numbers of scientists. Again, it would be more natural to say a large number would be this expression. It's argued by a large number of scientists that we have the ability nowadays through studying children's attitudes. So attitude and behavior is not the same word. So be very careful of your synonyms. Through studying children's behavior, determine whether children's intentions will be criminal. So we're not talking about their criminals, we're talking about whether they will actually be criminal. So again, taking too many risks with synonyms as a student. So let's have a look. We could maybe say, through studying children's behavior, determine whether children will be criminals or not in the future, whereas others oppose this. Okay. So just be careful for the student with your vocabulary choices. But these days, a large number of scientists, okay, believe that we can learn children's behavior so we can to see whether they're going to involve in crime. So unfortunately, excuse me, this expression doesn't really work. So believe that we don't learn, we would learn about would maybe work again. That would be fine. Believe that we can learn about children's behavior to see whether they are going to be involved, because here we've got the continuous tense here, so we use the verb to be. They're going to be involved in crimes in the future, whereas others disagree. Okay, so one last check. A large number of scientists believe that we can learn about children's behavior to see whether they're going to be involved in crimes in the future, whereas others disagree. Okay, now this would work. Moving on to our next one. A lot of researchers think that now we can know about children. So it's not we know about children, we say know, and we want here the if is going to come here. A lot of researchers think that we can know if children will become offenders. So offenders and criminals, unfortunately, these are not synonyms. Stick with the original word. after maturing. Be very careful of growing up and maturing. So you can have a mature child, whereas you have an immature adult. So after children will become adult. Maybe when they are adults, by studying the behavior, while others disagree. Again, here, while others, we talk about more than one, we talk about others in general, do not agree would be a nice way to just paraphrase this. So we're not repeating too much. Moving on to our next one. These days, numerous researchers think that we can study children's behavior to analyze if they will become criminals in their later life. Excellent. Whereas others oppose. If you oppose, you need an object. Others oppose this. Or others disagree with this. A number of researchers think that this behavior of children can be studied to see whether they will grow up to become, again, here it's just criminals or not offenders, so don't use offenders and criminals as synonyms. Whereas others disagree, again, we could use do not agree to vary the language here. Several researchers, so several is a good synonym for some, but it's not a good synonym for many. So a good synonym for many, and you can just remember this, it comes up a lot, is a lot. A lot of researchers believe that children's behavior can be studied now to know if they will grow up to be lawbreakers. Okay, while others do not agree with this. Okay. Many scholars, I would say scholar and researcher is not exactly the same thing. Again, just taking a few too many chances. So if we're going to change the words, think is good, keep researchers. Maybe here we can change this to a lot of researchers think that we can now see how likely children could turn to be criminals. So I know what the student's trying to do, but they're not quite sure of its grammatical structure. So a lot of researchers think that we can now see how likely it is that children could turn out to be criminals when they grow up by studying the behaviors. Again, we normally talk about behavior in general, so it would be the uncountable, while others disagree. And again, just to vary the language, do not agree. So if you're going to use expressions like, we can see how likely, make sure you understand structures that follow this. Okay? There are many functions in English, like kind of set structures, and this is one of those. You're going to need to know exactly how to use it. Don't go, oh, I've kind of heard someone say this before. If you don't know exactly how to use an expression, use something that you know 100%. Do not take risks with your vocabulary or with your grammar. Here we've got many experts think. So researchers and experts, again, I'm not going to say they're the same word. Many researchers, and again, if we want to reword something, we can just change this quantifier. So a lot of researchers think that it is now possible to study children's behavior to determine whether they will grow up to commit crimes, while some disagree. Apart from that, this was really nice. And then moving on to our last one. So numerous researchers argue that it is now possible to study boys and girls' behavior. So the behavior belongs to the boys and the girls, so it's good that we've got the possessive here, but we also want possessive here. Boys and girls' behavior to notice if they will become offenders. So criminals when they grow up, whereas others do not agree. That's fine. Okay, so the main issue here, as I was expecting, was quite a few risks being taken with vocabulary. make sure you understand 100% the words that you're using. If you're not sure of a synonym, if you're not sure 100%, use the original word. Do not take risks, okay? So those were our paraphrases today. Please, anyone who I reviewed your work, if you don't mind hitting the like button, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss out on future challenges. Thank you so much to everyone who does contribute and who supports this channel. Good luck to you in your studies, and I hope you're having a great week.